So it's early January and it's New Year's resolution time. We see lots of commercials for gyms, lots of people making decisions about doing things and not doing things. And one huge issue that comes up in late January is 1099 forms. This has a huge impact on independent contractors and freelancers who need the 1099 forms, tax preparers, and the employers that need to be issuing them. Okay, let's talk about Form 1099 and how it works. So here is 1099 miscellaneous. And if you look at line 3, it says other income. This, for the most part, is where a freelancer or contractor is going to get a report on the amount that a particular client paid them. I've gotten these for years as a freelancer. If there are withholdings, here's state withholdings. You'll see withholdings on here as well. Federal tax withholding on line 4, state tax on line 16. So let's pay attention to this line 3, other income. So how does this get to your tax return? Well, we have a new form in recent years called Schedule 1 that goes to Form 1040. That's your final tax return. We'll get there in a minute. Line 3, business income or loss, attached Schedule C. Typically, your 1099 income is going to go to Schedule C, self-employment, along with expenses that you may have as a self-employed person. It goes on line 3, Schedule 1. Let's roll down to the bottom of Schedule 1. This is your total additional income in addition to what we're going to see on Form 1040. And it goes to line 8 on Form 1040. So here's Form 1040. Here's line 8, additional income from Schedule 1, line 10. This is where your 1099 income ends up. So let's do that again. You get a 1099 form. You've got income on line 3 of your 1099 form. That gets thrown in with other expenses on your Schedule C. If we go to Schedule 1, which again is a new document in recent years, line 3, here's the Schedule C. Income, we slide down to the bottom. Additional income totals here. And then if I go to the 1040 form, and by the way, they tell you what line to put it on. Line 8, additional income, Schedule 1. I go to the 1040 form, line 8, additional income. This is where your 1099 income ends up. In other words, the net profit from your self-employment business, income less expenses. Now let's talk about the importance of getting these issued and what the impact is if they're not issued or not issued correctly. So, about Form 1099 miscellaneous. When do we have to file the form? Well, if you earn over $600 as a freelancer independent contractor from a client, $600 is that threshold, this should be issued. Okay, so here's a 1099. What if it's not issued? What if it's not issued? Well, you don't have proof of that income to put on Schedule C. Now you can write down ABC company paid me $1,200 on Schedule C, but they should be issuing you a 1099 if it's $600 or more. And I have seen for years companies blow this off and not do this. So that's one problem. This proves your income. Now there's another problem. Let's go back to the 1099 form. What if they issue the 1099 form and you don't put it on your tax return? So let's say it's $1,200 other income. You don't put it on Schedule 1, which is here, and it doesn't end up on your 1040 form. In a perfect world, eventually the IRS is supposed to match up the fact that ABC company issued a 1099 for $1,200. Ideally, the IRS will eventually take that 1099 form and see if it's on your tax return. And if it's not, you're going to owe penalties and interest. Now, the IRS is overwhelmed, they're understaffed. This could take years to come out. But if you get a 1099 and do not include that on your tax return, that company is going to send in all their 1099 forms, yours and all the other people they paid. The IRS ideally is going to match all those 1099 forms with the tax returns of the people who got paid. And if you don't include it, it's going to create a problem and possibly penalties and interest. So this is the penalty and the problem if you do not include these 1099 forms on your tax return. So This is really important, something to keep in mind. So the takeaways are, if you're an employer, issue those 1099 to freelancers and contractors so they can include that income on their tax return if you paid them more than $600. And if you are that freelancer or contractor, get those 1099s, put that income on your tax return. Even if that person owes you a 1099 and doesn't issue it, you still need to include that income on your tax return.